With all due respect, sir, I believe it is time. Huh? What? The imp butler pushed back his glasses as he cleared his throat. Sir, it's time for you to, as the cowardice pushes, get back out there. Ugh. Preminger was an uptight demon, and while being the lowest of the low as an imp, he still managed through discipline and a thirst for power to achieve the rank of Lucifer's personal hand butler, make him one of the few imps who were actually more powerful than most overlords. Prem, I know you want me to find someone else, but who do you think can replace her? The fallen angel pointed at a portrait of himself, Lilith, and Charlie. I mean, look at her. She's perfect. So, I must admit that going out there as they put it with the super goal of finding a replacement is the wrong way of seeing it. There was a spark in his master's eyes as he said that. Fine, I'm listening. Do not announce you're searching for a partner, and don't go with the expectations of finding one. Just be open to the idea of allowing someone else to come into your life. You have recently made great progress in rekindling your relationship with your lovely daughter, sir. And I think it is time for you to take this step too. Lucifer arched his back on his throne. But I don't wanna. Childish, as always, sire, thought Preminger, amused. I do have an idea to make this more enjoyable for you, sire, if you're willing to listen. Uh, Fine. Sinners came in all shapes and sizes, sometimes more literally than figuratively. But they all had one thing in common. One day, they all gave up. After all, eternity was forever, and so was hell. And all the joys and debaucheries, while fun for maybe, 200, 500 years? Well, those were nothing against the face of eternity. And the demons whose joy had vanished found themselves taking on the form of a lost soul. But with their age came wisdom. While no longer able to enjoy things such as drugs or sex, they enjoyed conversations, alcohol, and cigars. The amount of lost souls was stagnant, thanks to the exterminations from the angels. Most of them lived even below the sewers of the city. Here it was warm, damp, and dark. Down here, in this undercity, the lost souls gathered to spend eternity contemplating, and overall just being sad and regretful. Through a string of bad luck, you had found yourself in the Undercity. One of the few, almost non-lost soul demons. Working at a trucker bar. By the name of The Dead End. With polished wooden furniture, red-painted walls, and hundreds of photos of celebrities going back to the 1930s. Of course, these days very few customers came. Most lost souls didn't even bother with this stuff anymore. Like, hey, I'm gonna go out today, maybe Claire is at the bar today. That was you, by the way. You were Claire. A demoness. You got sent to hell for something unforgivable. You were a water nymph demon, Surprisingly rare in your lair, at least. But more common in the deeper ones. You kept a mostly humanoid shape. Water nymphs were known for their slightly bluish skin, like that of a freshly drowned corpse. Hair, even when dry, appeared to always be wet. And tears pretty much always were at the cusp of flowing out. It took water nymphs an incredible amount of concentration, effort, and training to prevent any sensation, any heightened emotion from causing uncontrollable release of the tear ducts. It was fitting. A depressing little creature such as yourself working in the most depressing section of this layer of hell. But at least it was easy, since there were at a max of like 2 customers a day. You didn't have to do much. You practically just sat around moping all the time, like all the other lost souls down here. However, you were cleaning glasses when a familiar demon came in. "Hey, Lucy," you said chipper, without looking up from the glass. "How do you know it's always me? Tell me." "It's the pep in your step. No one happy ever comes down here except for you." Lucy had been coming for a few weeks now. According to him, he had been looking for a place to drink for quite some time now. His search ending with him up in the Undercity. According to Lucy, the booze just tasted different down here. Well, whatever gets the customers. He also was a little bit of a chatterbox. It had only taken him 10 minutes before he had excitedly talked about a business venture his daughter was pursuing, and yet he refused to give you any specific details about it. Except for that it was going to change lives. You, however, were just glad there was someone else to talk to, especially since 30 minutes ago one of the other nearby living demons had entered. He just tapped his finger on the bar, making you show him the menu. He pointed at the beer and just took it, paid, and sat down. In fact, he was still sitting there, staring at the wall blankly, the beer only half emptied. Suddenly he coughed a little, which was probably the most sound he had produced in maybe weeks. "I take the usual, Claire." "Got it." Lucy always ordered a scotch on the rocks, though he wanted one of the ice cubes to literally be a rock, for a visual joke, as he put it. As you dropped a clean pebble into the half-filled glass, he thanked you with a shit-eating grin. Lucy was quite immature for his age, though he was a handsome demon, dressed in a black and blue showman suit, with a black cylinder, and dark blue eyes with 2 red pinpricks for pupils. "So," you mused as you leaned against the bar, one hand on your chin in a casual pose. "What are you doing here?" "Well, I was in town again and thought I'd stop by my favorite drinking hole." He took a sip of the expensive scotch, and you smirked. "Oh, really? Sure you just didn't miss me?" He pointed a finger at you with a charming smile. "Are you accusing me?" "No, just a hunch." "And where might that come from?" You leaned back, taking him by surprise. "The fact that with each sentence you were coming closer to these." You pointed at your blue lips, a tear unintentionally running down your right cheek. Embarrassed, you swiped it away. "Sorry." You blinked a few times and finally you sighed. "All right, it stopped." "Mind explaining to me what your problem is exactly, Claire?" You blinked and then blushed, giving your cheeks a dark, almost black tint. Well," you rubbed over your shoulder in thought. "Maybe... okay. You forced a wide grin. How about this? You figure out why I'm down here and not up there. And then you probably know. He blinked and you deadpanned. I'm talking about hell. Oh! Lucy crossed his arms. Okay. Deal. He stretched out his hand. I'm not a deal maker. Just shake my hand. It's a friendly gesture. You're right, I twitched. If I lose my soul over this, I'll kill you. You took his hand, and it was as if a cold shower rushed over you. You didn't know why, but there was something electrifying about the contact. Not that you could feel his skin, since he was wearing gloves, but it was unlike anything you ever felt before. After letting go of him, you grabbed a towel for your wet face. Cloth still over your eyes, you leaned over the bar again. All right. Give me your best shot. You were a serial killer. You tilted your head mockingly. Oh, and why is that? 'Cause you make killer drinks. You blinked, perplexed in response to that. He never ordered any cocktails, so the bar just had very good selection of alcohol. So there wasn't any drink making you did. Sorry. Just a bad pickup line, he muttered as he defensively raised a hand. Come on, Claire. Don't make me beg. You crossed your arms. I know. Don't flirt with the barmaid, she's gonna break your heart. Oh God, what a dork. Okay. Let me think of anything more classy. After a minute of deliberation, he smirked. You found your ex cheating on you and killed both mistress and him with a shotgun. Well, that was a relatively good guess. There were millions of scorned lovers in hell. Heck, there was even a species of demon called the Scorned. But no, not why I'm down here. The lost soul at the back of the bar slowly turned his head, facing you. He blinked just as slowly. Once, twice, and then muttered something. Loud enough for you to hear, but not loud enough for Lucy to notice, as he was concentrating too much on your little game. And a shower washed over you. The soul was right, and embarrassed you looked away. The demon chuckled darkly, finally getting the attention of Lucy. Hey, did you say something? But the lost soul no longer felt like talking. What's up with these guys anyways? Every demon down here has all these white glowing eyes and it's just a drag to be around. Lucy scoffed. How can you deal with all this negativity and still be such a ball of sunshine? Ball of sunshine? I guess... Seriously, ball of sun... Never mind. Just... It's the little things, Lucy. But your gaze betrayed your words. It was the fact that the lost soul knew why you were here, or at least could instantly tell, made you shiver. I want to say drugs, but you seem too classy for that. Lucy, are you just doing this to flirt with me? He chuckled. Is it that obvious? The lost soul nodded, and you suppressed a chuckle. Come on, tell me, do I have a chance? He said helplessly, and you smiled. Well, actually, I think you do. I think you're cute, and don't worry, I don't mind that you have a daughter. Lucy felt as if he had been hit in the face by a brick, and he chuckled. unable to contain his excitement and embarrassment. "Well, that's great," he shouted. His heart was pounding. But, what now? Do we just start dating, or, you know... He was so curious. "And you yourself?" leered at the lost soul. He had finished his drink and was right now looking at his phone with a very bored expression, his finger slowly dragging down whatever feed he was reading. "Well, we close in 30 minutes, you said to Lucy. "Do you think you can wait until then?" Hearing you say that, the lost soul blinked, checked the timer on his phone, and sighed. He didn't realize it was this late. Lighting up a cigar, he left the pub. Huh. "So, you gonna close early?" "Fine. But only if you help me clean." Lucy made an almost shocked expression. Sure thing?" But as you took a bucket out of the closet, your eyes fell upon a small group of toy rubber duckies. What the? They were cleaning. Proudly, Lucy stood there next to them. "I just thought this would speed things up a little." You stepped next to the demon, confused. "Where did you..." "I make them. In my workshop. A little obsession of mine." You picked one up. It had a wet rag in its mouth, which it used to clean. I guess I'm impressed." "Who are you really?" Lucy inhaled deeply. "What makes you say that?" "No demon just puts down rubber duckies to clean a room like that. They have slaves, or worse." Well," he tapped his foot on the ground. "Only if you tell me how you ended up here." Your shoulders slumped down. "Why is that so important to you?" He just smiled, but what he didn't want to admit was that depending on your answer, he'd actually consider a relationship with you. Sure, it might be a little shallow, but hey, it's Lucifer. And while sure that may be a little shallow, he had experienced way too many hardships in his life to not be shallow. After a moment of silence between the two of you, only interrupted by the constant quacking of the toy ducks, you sighed. "It was selfishness." Lucy raised an eyebrow. "I died at the tender age of 30. In fact, it was on my 30th birthday. My own present to myself." "Wait, do you mean you know, yourself?" You nodded. "Yeah. See, I always felt alone. My whole life, for as long as I can remember, I didn't like it. Life, I mean. Even though I got used to it by my teens. Even though I had parents who claimed they loved me, but I suppose it never actually felt like that. They tried to buy my love, if that makes sense. They weren't there emotionally. Like they pretended they loved me. I had friends, but I didn't understand them. I didn't understand how it worked. It was like I was there for convenience, and the moment I became inconvenient, they would leave. Even though they were constantly inconvenient to me, asking me to do things, but when I needed something, poof, they were gone. I never had a boyfriend, only a long string of relatively long-distance relationships with guys twice my age who just wanted a quick wank of my nudes, but at the time it was enough. It made me feel like I was loved. In the end, it was a period of 23 months without one of these relationships that flipped my switch. Thing is, when you throw the gift of life away so selfishly like I did, heaven doesn't want you. There's no one who can forgive me, so there's no redemption as well. I'm stuck here forever. Nothing I can do will save me. But as it turns out, doing it yourself makes you a freak even down here. Apparently I didn't live life to the fullest enough, and my sin isn't entertaining enough. Tough shit. Lucy, without making a comment, gave you back the towel to wipe the uncontrollable stream of tears running down your face. I'm sorry. You muffled into the towel. You probably hate me now. But then he suddenly hugged you. Tightly so. Towel still on your face. It was so warm. Honestly, you were shocked. Normally, scorn and insults followed a confession like this. It took bravery to admit that, he said quietly. You puffed into the towel in response. Do you want to know my secret now? You sniffled. Just a little longer. Lucy smiled, tightening the hug, until your breathing became normal again. He then let go of you and took a step back. Well, you were honest about yourself. Let me be honest about myself. You took the towel off, and despite the flow of tears not having stopped yet, too curious. I'm listening. He tapped a finger on his chin. Actually, why don't I show you instead? Snapping his fingers, the color of his suit changed to white and red. Eyes changing from a dark blue to yellow, and even his hat changed. He snapped. Out of his pocket, he took a tiny crown which he placed on the brim of his top hat. He snapped with his left hand. A black scepter with an apple at its other end appeared. Lucifer wanted to grin. He knew you were still emotional, so he contained himself, keeping it at a more dignified, almost smug smile. Your jaw dropped, even though your lips remained closed. And just a bit of color returned to your wide eyes. Shaking, you pointed a finger at him. You're Lucifer, you stuttered. I hope that doesn't change anything, he said, smiling. So what is this? You flirt with innocent demons, get them to admit their worst ever moment in life, and then what? Well, no. See, he elegantly sat down on a nearby bar stool. My wife Lilith, We have been separated 7 years ago, in fact. I was stricken with the worst of griefs, and, well, he picked up one of the rubber duckies. I just tried to waste time. He put it back, sighing, and then looked you in the eyes. My butler, Preminger. I should get out again, and he just wouldn't let up. Fed up with him constantly demanding I get out there again, I changed my identity to Lucy. I didn't want to find someone who knew who I was. I would never know who is nice to me just because of my status as King of Hell, and not to mention that practically everyone in Hell is an asshole, slut, druggie, or serial killer. But, for example, my daughter believes in them, and I have to admit, I recently spent some time with her and her friends, and I start to see her vision, at least a little. And so my search eventually led me to Undercity. To my shame, I must admit, until that point, I didn't know it existed. And I met you on my search for a drink. And the more I talked to you, your humor, your personality, everything that just made me realize maybe my daughter is right. There's God in this rotten place. You just have to really look for it. And I guess unintentionally I did that. He scratched her shoulder a little embarrassed. I like you, Claire. And I'd like to spend even more time with you. This time no secrets or ulterior motives. I realize I'm risking the faint hope I have in the people of Hell by doing this, he thought to himself. You rubbed your hands together as you thought about what to say next. There was a curiosity. Something you wanted to ask, but that was completely out of place for this moment. The question of, what if I lied and said I was a serial killer or something? But that's what your brain wanted to ask. Meanwhile, your heart almost jumped out of your chest. I don't care. You spoke slowly, and for a moment he looked at you offended. I mean, I don't care that you're the Lord of Hell. I mean, I do a little. But I like you, Lucifer. You're good company. You're handsome, you're nice, you're creative, you tell good stories, and your point of view of things is refreshing. Your eyes started towards the windows of the pub. I mean, considering the people I interact with on a daily basis, you're practically a stand-up comedian. What I'm trying to say is I think I can see myself falling in love with you. Lucifer blushed and stood up. Taking 2 steps, he was now right in front of you. While Satan wasn't tall himself, you weren't big either. You were on equal height. So as he stared into your eyes, he smirked. That's a good answer. He then leaned forward, hugging you. Little awkwardly sure, but then you whispered, "If you want to, you can kiss me. I don't mind." You hushed. Right into his ear. He smirked into you before his lips pressed into your neck. Lucifer's mouth felt fiery hot on your cool skin. Your toes curled. He was still an angel, in a way, A fallen one at least. An original one as well. And you could feel his divinity in this moment. Your hands turned to fists, biting your lips. You felt weak in your knees, as every muscle in your being tightened. You exhaled out of your mouth in heavy bursts of air. A groan escaped your lips, legs quivering as a hard wave of pleasure shot through every nerve of your entire being. You just came, just by a simple peck on your neck from him. This angel, this divine being far beyond your comprehension. Oh God, you heard him snicker into you. As Lucifer leaned back to look at you, he put a thumb on your chin. You make the most beautiful noises when you come, Claire. Crap. He could tell. The tears that now ran down your cheeks came from utter embarrassment. I'd like to hear it more. Those noises. Please don't make me beg. His eyes glowed in a lust-filled pink. And in response, you pursed your lips shakily. But he huffed. Well, you definitely weren't lying with your lack of experience. So snickering, Lucifer took control, pressing his lips on yours. You inhaled deeply through your nose. Almost immediately your eyes rolled back. Satan kissed you with zero abandon. He just enjoyed your lewd, desperate noises too much. Literally unable to help himself. You were so cute. Suddenly, your back hit the wall, hearing the loud clatter of bottles behind you. Though luckily they didn't break. Now Lucifer became a little forceful. He hummed quietly as lewd smacking noises reached your ears. He allowed you to exhale one more time before you separated. Your tongue was lewdly hanging out of your mouth. Your first kiss had been with an otherworldly, infinitely powerful, ethereal demigod angel and lord of hell itself. How could anyone or anything ever beat that? I love you, you hushed breathlessly, and without thinking. Good. Cooed Lucifer. Thank you for watching my video until the very end. But before I clock out for tonight, I would really like to give a special thanks to all of my darling channel members. Izzy M3618, Spammy, Raylan, Deathhunt, Melofia, Muffin, Kaya Abyss, BitBit, Sleepy Town, Hella, Nextwrist, AJ Anime Girl, Aruna, Meow Meow Person, Cherry Red Bunny, D's Nuts, Nicodemus D, and Cat Cove.